Hello, son. Before we begin, I just want to let you know that I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. Hello, welcome to my review of Empire of Dirt, the King Cobra JFS documentary. Son, it's made by an individual, goes by the nom de film, Your Favorite Son, and everyone has to have a catchphrase. Everyone has to have like a framing device for their YouTube persona, their channel delivery device. And our favorite son has decided on the framing device of interjecting and addressing the audience directly. I guess as if he's sending like video messages to his father and saying, "Hello, Dad," like, or something. And I mean, begrudge a person. I end by saying, "I love you, I love you, I love you." And if no one told they loves you today, someone just did that. Somebody's CW chanter, and it's a general statement of I love, love, and I don't think the "Hello, Dad" thing. I think it's a little specific. I think that for the ladies in the audience, it might be a little disconcerting, and I think it's. I think it goes through. Like, the whole thing is this. Look, I put in the comment section below, as a general disclosure for myself, I resent the youth. I hate, look, I resent the youth, the kids, and this review. I want to put that out there. Be honest with you about it, because I, I'm not going to attempt to separate it. Look, I mean, the document. I mean, what? This is not a documentary. It's one of these. It's a video essay. And I just want to tell like this guy, my favorite son. It's well edited, and it's put together, and it's the whole thing. And I just want to say, to all these people, like, the ability to edit film these days is something that, like, a monkey can do. So I just really want to let you know, like, you know what I mean, like, you are not a filmmaker. You know what I mean, like, I am not a musician. Like, I am not like an author. Like, the technology allows us all to experience with ease that which used to be difficult for people to do. People used to have to struggle. You had to be an exceptional musician to catch the ear of a wandering, talent scout, to be picked up and to be put on the stage. And you know what I mean? Like, there used to be real elements of meritocracy, in the world today. But look at, like, the Belle Delphines of the world, and just understand that, I'm not saying that you're coasting on your looks, young man, but I'm saying the technology that's available to you. You know what I mean? And I could tell, like, you've shown enough of your world that I could tell that, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not living at home, you know what I mean, then you're balling. You know what I mean? Like, I think your environment looks very well put together. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, like, any jackass can, like, put this shit together. And I just want to, like, let you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, it is whatever it is. And like, and I'm directing this to you because you made this fucking thing, right? That's not a fucking documentary. You and your fucking, radar buddy, like, you know what I mean? Commander Specs went and your crew, your dude went and fucking hung out with this, infamous lolcow of the internet, King Cobra JFS, right? Hold on. And you videotaped it, right? And then you took the results of that videotape home, and then you edited it together, and with other clips of you talking to other, two or three other people about this individual, and you acted as though there were like these profound questions about what you were engaged in and what you were doing and what it was all about. And are you fucking serious? like you're either lying to yourself, or you're lying to the audience, or you're lying to yourself and the audience. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, and I just think that it's important that everyone deconstruct this whole interrelationship between the locale and the locale, the professional, semi-professional locale, and semi-professional locale observer. And especially nowadays, because we are seeing now, I think that in 20, with when we saw Christina Weston Chandler go to jail, like, what was it, 2022? Was it 2021? Can't remember. I really think that we saw a point where there was a real kind of ending. I think the original kind of crop of locales, we need to understand that this is not an endlessly replenishing supply. That what makes these people fascinating is not just them. They are not exceptional people. King Cobra JFS is not an unusual person. It's not like he's one in a million. He looks a little bit different. There are people like him, like Cyrax, like Daniel Larson. They are unique. They've got unique characteristics. But if you reflect on life in your hometown, on your life in school, every class, not just every town, every graduating class of every town has 2 or 3 people that are not quite like everybody else. Whether they're strange on the way to stranger, or whether just lovable losers, every town has more losers than winners. And at the very, very bottom, just like the very, very top, there are just a few, but every town is made up of averages and exceptions. There are crazy exceptions everywhere around. What makes Christina Weston Chandler and King Cobra JFS fascinating to so many people is because there are people watching them together. I think it's a collective TV show. And also, people need to address and engage with their schadenfreude, their shameful joy. And what I think I want to really make clear, especially in regards to this sort of documentary, the Geno Samuels of the world and the My Favorite Sons of the world are of a particular sort, the kind that come in and do the, I'm here, I'm looking, I'm in the porno theater, and every once in a while, my eye will turn to the screen and I'll wonder and I'll say, get a visceral thrill, and I'll get a taste, the scary taste of what these people are looking at and what they're about, as if he doesn't know what he's doing or what he's there for, why it's fascinating. It's not a question mark as to why people rubberneck. There's no question what Mary Prim and Proper is looking for or curious to see when she cranes and slows slightly when she passes the vicious accident. We're attracted to the disturbing often as much as we're attracted to the beautiful. And people like to see that which is lower to them, because we spend most of our time in life feeling put upon. The majority of the experiences that people process in regards to their ego and self-esteem will generally be hits or having to mediate strikes to their self-esteem and having to feel and helping themselves feel okay in the world around them and of status in the world around them, rather than feeling like, gee, the world's telling me I'm doing great, I'm fantastic, and I'm a cut above. So when we see people with bad lives and lives that are going down further and further, no matter where we are, chances are we are better than King Cobra JFS. Whatever the state of denial is in regards to our own shopping addictions, our own drinking and drug problems, or, well, we're not calling it a problem, or whatever, use, or whether or not we're paying enough attention to the human relationships or the need for human relationships around us, or whatever that is that we're doing poorly, chances are King Cobra JFS is doing it a fuckload a lot worse, right? So if we tune into him, we're going to get a chance to feel a whole lot better about us. But the double bind is, if you catch yourself in the mirror looking down at someone, especially someone who's hurting and hurting themselves, well, you might end up feeling kind of bad about yourself, like you're some sort of bad person. Well, there's some cures for that. You can start telling yourself some lies, like, I'm really, really curious about why these other people are watching. And I decided to make this documentary about why other people are so fascinated. Or you could start telling yourself some other lies, like, the reason I'm watching is because I'm just praying that maybe if I talk enough shit, or if I say this, that the kid will come around. Or maybe you're completely sincere about those things. And it's just you're rubbing shoulders with a whole bunch of people who might be justifying those things. I just find it hard to believe that a whole bunch of people are saying, like, what is the fascination? Why is it so interesting? When those sentiments seem so cliche to me, and there's so many obvious answers that people just probably don't want to engage in, because, like I said, to engage with them would be to admit some pretty lousy things about yourself, or also to admit that you're engaged in a pretty fruitless activity. And that's another thing. This whole YouTube thing, and for context, I think that I want to do another framing thing is that over the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been doing a lot more research into the viability of YouTube and what's going on with YouTube and what's going on with other streaming services like Amazon Prime, Twitch, Netflix, and Hulu. And the reason I've been doing this is I've been particularly fascinated at what might happen in the future if and when these services might go away, and they might very well go away. Especially in regards to things like YouTube and Twitch, there are whole classes of individuals who have foregone for years certain normative career choices in order to spend their entire lives basically making content for mediums that may, as just platforms themselves, go away. Despite its size, YouTube, and despite its size, Netflix really are hype machines. The same things that led to the hype internet bubble of the 2000s really never stopped. Look at Bitcoin. The same things that drove Bitcoin essentially are the same things that drive Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and all these other streaming services. The hope that one day, we don't know exactly how, but one day this stuff will make a lot of sense and start making everybody real money. not just investment money, not just advertising money that we think will defray the costs of all these other things, but actual money. And people would be surprised to know that it doesn't make real money for these companies at present, because you would think how ubiquitous they are in the societies that they are, other than what they are. But there's so much of our world, our technology and internet world, that is all just smoke and illusions. And people might have a comeuppance coming. People like King Cobra JFS. And not only people like King Cobra JFS and other little cows who have spent their entire life, don't call it e-begging, call it whatever you want to, DSP, et cetera, call it whatever you want to, living professionally on the internet, engaging with an internet accessed community of people that would be giving them money just for being. If YouTube and Twitch go away, what exactly are these individuals going to do? And if your immediate response and answer is, well, they'll simply go to whatever the other thing that takes over for YouTube is, understand this. If the 10,000-pound gorilla goes down, it's not necessarily because there's a 12,000-pound gorilla that entered the ring. When the dinosaurs went away, it's not because something bigger came along. It's because the dinosaurs as we knew them disappeared. Apparently they turned into chickens and birds, but it gets complicated nowadays. We used to think they just went away, but you know what I mean? Assume for argument's sake that they went away. Things end. And when we talk about things end, even if YouTube doesn't end, if King Cobra JFS ends, what will bite-sized Cobra vids do? And if this is coming off as judgmental, like bite-sized Cobra vids, what will you do? No, it's an honest question. There are people who allow their lifestyles to develop to the point where the majority of their, or a significant portion of their household income is derived from what? It's derived from the secondary income generated by these bizarre characters on the internet. The bizarre character on the internet streams for 6 hours a day. Who's got time for that? I've got time for that. And then I'm going to edit it down. People are going to watch my edited down live stream. They're going to super chat, donate, give me super chat donations, buy my merch. And that's my side hustle. That's whatever. And in addition to whatever, that's how I make money. Well, I criticize the guy, the lol cow that I'm covering. I clip him. I make him look ridiculous. I do all these things to him, but he better not go away. Why? Because my channel is a channel that covers this guy. And you can see the lol cow coverage channels when they try to just, it's not always just a movable feast. And we see what happens when these new players come along, and we see it now. Where I'm going with this, why I like put in why I resent the youth. Like, dude, there's a second crop of people coming along. When I did this whole thing, I wanted to pull up this video again to have it, queued up in case I decided to run it. I put in King Cobra JFS documentary. Guess what? There's several. And I'm not just talking about and then now it's a party or the trap documentary. I'm talking about now every kid is out here making their little, I discovered King Cobra JFS. And I haven't been here for 10 million years. I discovered King Cobra JFS in 2020. There was some guy who had a channel. I can't remember what, Dank Dan or something. I can't remember what his name was. And through his like, I binge watched 15 hours of his channel one magical month, and got acquainted with Jason Genova and King Cobra JFS and Only Use Me Blade and I had already known about Christina Weston Chandler, but I got a bump update on that one. And and that was 2020, right? And so I immediately subscribed to King Cobra JFS, and watched all the lore videos, and caught up on the hair dye video, and caught up on Homeboy Scotty, and watched all of the bite-sized Cobra vid documentaries, and watched all the highlights of all the God couldn't get enough of King Cobra JFS. But then about a couple of months ago, I started noticing like young cats getting into it, and just all of a sudden throwing out their little like King Cobra JFS is a guy who and everyone could do it. It's like a song by the Cranberries. Everybody's doing it, so why shouldn't we, or something? Well, why shouldn't you do it? Because you're wasting everybody's time, because you're not adding anything to the conversation. There's nothing new here. What are you doing? Like, if you are a kid on YouTube and you see that someone has made a documentary about a dude, or a documentary about a subject from A, B, and C, and D, what makes you think that it's necessary to go ahead and remake that documentary? There's nothing that made you think that it was necessary to remake that documentary. All you thought, because you're a stupid kid. I hate kids. Like, I hate 20-year-olds, 22-year-olds, 25-year-olds. You're all worthless. You're pieces of garbage. Honestly, and I'll explain to you why. It doesn't occur to you to see something that has already happened and say to yourself, this has already happened, so there's no reason to do it again. It occurs to you to watch it, to look at the view count and say, that doing that gets that many views, and so you do that. Why do you do that? Why not look and see that there's been a King Cobra JFS, there's been 2 King Cobra JFS, there's been 3 King Cobra JFS documentaries. You know exactly what you fucking did. My only son. This is a fucking formula. There were no questions to be answered. All questions have been answered. We know exactly what's going on with King Cobra JFS. It's called alcoholism and drug addiction. It's no grand mystery. It's no, what's going on with this guy? It's alcoholism. He had dreams and he had aspirations. And because he's an alcoholic, he drinks. And he drinks until the stupid, lame, bullshit computer in front of him, the chatterbait honey, who he can't even afford to tip, so he watches the free clips or whatever. All of a sudden, it's like she's talking to him. He says things and he's in denial. And he drinks until nonsense makes sense. That's not a mystery, dude. It's no mystery what you did when you went out there with your friend. You had a game plan to get to exactly what you got. You have 45,000 views. You have 87.6 thousand subscribers. You have 46,000 views on a video that was uploaded a day ago. You got merch. How old is your channel? I don't even know what your story is. Let me look at your channel. Mute this shit. About. Hello, description. Hello, Dad. Fuck you. Join January 5th, 2021. These videos. Drakengard. What actually was this video game shit? Yeah, check out this video. I fuck with this video game coverage. Well, look, his channel's huge. So look, so you did video game shit and you decided to come out and do live stuff. I'll tell you what you did. 2 years ago, by 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim is the best game that's barely a game. Ranking PS2 games from my childhood, Volume 1. I don't know how old you are, kid. Anyway, Max Payne, Devil May Cry, Fable 2, Fable 3, Silent Hill. Okay. Yakuza. Okay. Disco Elysium, whatever. You don't understand Five Nights at Freddy's 8 months ago. Go fuck yourself. Anyway, I don't like you. It is what it is, buddy. But listen, anyway, so then there you go. So then all of a sudden you're doing this bold new direction with this Empire of Dirt documentary. It sucked. Your documentary sucked. It was a video essay. It's not a documentary. Okay? It's not a documentary. It was a video essay. There's no reason to have you this involved in the thing. The documentary should be about the documentary should be about a subject, and it should tell us about the subject. We should give us the past, present, and future of the subject. You didn't do any of that stuff. If you looked at other people that have done documentaries about this guy, you'll see why your thing brings no new information to the table. You went out there, you hung out with the guy, you didn't generate any real, new information. You asked him, kind of like substandard questions. He didn't really respond to you. That's not your fault. The fact that King Cobra JFS is King Cobra JFS is not your fault. Your decision to go out there is your decision to go out there. What I have, look, the problem that I have is I don't like bullshitters bullshitting. I don't like bullshitters bullshitting. I don't like bullshitters bullshitting themselves. If you have an ounce of artistic credibility, if you want to be a documentary filmmaker, if you want to be a filmmaker of any credibility at all, if you want to be anybody of any credibility at all, if you want to be a human being of credibility, there's no reason to play games and come out here and act like anything. Why don't you come out and say, dude, it's YouTube. I'm here. I just wish people would be honest. Why not come out and say, hey, man, this is YouTube. We're trying to do this. I've got a video game channel, but guess what? Fucking sucks. I'm growing up. I'm growing older. I don't want to be this idiot anymore. I want to have some sort of, larger, presence or persona. I want to do bigger things. So I'm busting out. These other people went out and saw King Cobra JFS. Fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and do it too. So I'm going out there. And instead we got this long-winded intro, lack of specific personal details. You've been watching him for so long. I just told you, look, why not say, why do people play games with, I've been watching this guy for so long? Because if you say specifics, people know it's finite. I told you, I've been watching King Cobra JFS since 2020. That's just 3 years ago, right? I've told you, I'm not some sort of old guard dude. I haven't been here since Jump Street. I haven't been here since 2013. You know what I mean? I don't remember the MySpace days. You know what I mean? I'm not here bullshitting you. When people come out here and tell you these vague things about, they could tell you, how much do you watch? How much down are you? How much do you watch King Cobra JFS? Do you know what I mean? How into it are you? You could tell us. And when people kind of vague around it, they're doing it for a reason. It's because if they were to get into the specifics wouldn't make them look that great. They tell you specifics when specifics make them look fantastic. They go vague when vague makes it look like, hey, man, you guys are great, man. How long you been into punk rock? Oh, man, we've been into punk rock since, man, when have we, punk rock, man. Punk rock is in our blood, man. Punk rock, it's not about how long you've been into punk rock. It's been how long punk rock, how deep it gets into you, man. In other words, I'm a studio musician, man. They called me up and told me the bass player OD'd, so here I am playing with these assholes. What the fuck do you want from me, man? I'm 37 years old. Have you seen my fucking alimony payments? Get the fuck out of here. If you ask me how much about I'm into punk rock again, I'm going to fuck you up. That's how much I'm into punk rock. Anyway, the need for these intros at all, documentary or video essay, it's all about this fucking dude. I don't give a fucking fuck about you, Newport. Mom jeans. This guy, I don't like the way this kid fucking, I don't get these fucking, what are, I don't get, I don't get what, I don't get any of this shit. Come on home, buddy. I said, come on home, boy. This is some self-indulgent BS that if anyone believes they should get their heads examined. Why? Why did I watch? What was this all about? What is he about? This is some sort of mystery. This is Geno Samuels fucking, what are we all about? Why is we so fast? It's this fucking bullshit. What the fuck are you doing? 13 minutes wasted on self-indulgent beat bullshit. Guy's home environment seems posh as fuck. Listen, dude, look at my office, right? I'm a fucking joke. Right? Because I look like a fucking joke. My environment looks like a fucking joke. Why? Because I don't go and try to present myself. I don't film in an artificial environment to make so that you feel as though my art, this, I live in an artificial environment that is going to make you feel bad about yourself. There's some people that just have these type A personalities that you go to their place. It was the same thing. I don't like that gal that did that, like that. I don't like people that like are in like that live in like well apportioned, nice environments. I don't fucking trust. You know what I mean? Like, especially like if they purport to be any sort of like artsy, punk, underground, let's fuck some shit up type of people. I don't like when people are like, fuck yeah, shit. And like when I'm on the street with them, they're like, it's leather jackets and it's pins and it's all this shit. And then you go to their place and like the shit is like their snowboard is like on the wall, but like perfectly, like on a magnetic hook. And like they're like the canopy, the thing that like for mountain climbing and shit is like everything is like organized. Like you go to their studio space, like the cables are all together. It's like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, fuck you, you like math wizard, like you fucking normal, like you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like they fucking like you like they like wrote some sort of fucking essay about fucking traveling in the band. You catch them like fucking like correcting their grammar with the fucking like strunk and white like fucking blue like grammar book and shit. Like fuck out of here with that shit. Like I don't fucking like that shit at all. Except that the thing with this guy is he might very well live at home with his parents. In which case, like, and that's not a dig. Like that's not honestly like when I was this guy's age, but I was living at home. Like that's an honest excuse. Like you like the reason your place looks that way is because somebody's coming in there and cleaning it up. Like it's fine, whatever. And also like some people are neat and some people are not. So like neat people are neat. It's, you know, it's like a minor thing. But honestly, like I don't like this. There's something about a dude in a posh environment coming and visiting a poor ass motherfucker like King Cobra JFS and shooting this stuff with him and then taking that video footage back and then coming away from it with a 45,000 view documentary that, what does he get out of it? He gets a lot out of it. And what does King Cobra JFS get out of it? He got like an eighth of fucking Delta 8, you know, a bottle of shitty whiskey, and a trip to Albertsons. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of this shit that's like exploitive as fuck that I'm not down with, that I think is fucking bullshit as hell. And especially when it comes from these kids who fucking, like I said, these kids are like Johnny come fucking latelys. And I just want to say all these kids, like, what, you know what I mean? Like have fucking fun, because there's not like going to be more King Cobra JFSs. YouTube started in like what? It started in 2005, I guess, but things didn't get started in earnest. Like, you know, I remember like when King Cobra got started, like you have to understand, like Kim, Christina Western Chandler, all of these people like kind of were discovered like right around this kind of the same time in the early days of YouTube. Even like Boogie 29888, whatever, and his like Francis bullshit. You're not gonna get new lol cows like this. And it's because there's too many contenders. There's too many crazy people doing crazy things that you're never going to get this many people, these many eyes concentrated on these specific individuals again, I think. And you see what ends up happening is that people just end up throwing up constant contenders in the hope that kind of someone is going to get hit or become a hit. And what I've seen is kind of a watch out for these guys is all that ends up happening that I've seen is that the longer you hang out being a lolcow commentator, it just increases the likelihood that you'll end up becoming a lolcow. dude, it like has happened to so many people. Anyway, going on with my documentary review, Inside Casper. They talked to the mayor of Casper for about 15 seconds. He's never heard of Josh. What does that mean? I mean, whatever. It's an old school red city, yet it's diverse. Speaking of Casper, Wyoming, it's the mayor of Casper speaks of Casper and says it's an old school red city, yet it's diverse and attracts diverse people. It's got harsh winters, though. It's like living 40 years ago, he says. Note that, people say things like it's like living 40 years ago. 40 years ago was 1983. I always talk about the 20-year and the 40-year nostalgia loop. So it's 40 years ago, it's 1983. It's like, dude, it's like living 40 years ago fucking everywhere. Okay? A new Transformers movie is coming out, and shortly thereafter, a new G.I. Joe movie will be coming out. So it's like 1983 everywhere it is. And then he says there's a lot of identity issues, like the LGBT community is growing, and it clashes with the redneck mentality that's there. And he also says the wind is hard to deal with. It blows here. And I just put that as the highlight. So, I mean, it is what it is. They take Josh gambling. The guy, my only favorite son, says that he refers to gambling as degenerate. I have no idea. I noted that. I also wondered if this young man is one of these new converts to Eastern Orthodox fetishism. Hey, Dad is a catchphrase. Are we Dad? Merch, whatever. Then I said, Calvin. I had umbrage with him at one point. He's this guy. He's wearing a Calvin Klein T-shirt and a gold chain. But he's also got this like Japanese like anime tattoo. So I don't like this. Like I know that there's this kind. I have this kind of thing that's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like reverse disgust, where I don't like normal classy shit invading my kind of crust scum environments. So like I have a problem with this man's kind of like loose adoption of things like mom jeans and fresh, like crisp, clean white Newport t-shirts, like Newport cigarette t-shirts, with like, I don't know, punk rock tattoos. What it was last day of coverage. There's subtle changes. They go the Doritos challenge. Oh, I noticed that there was a kind of a turn in the documentary at one point where I kind of felt like that the relationship between Josh as the subject and the person that was my favorite son that was interviewing him kind of changed. And what I think happened was, I think that Josh spent too much money at the dispensary. I don't think that he properly budgeted for the dispensary, because after they go to the dispensary, you see when they film at the dispensary, the look on the guy's face when Josh is ringing, when Josh is asking for more stuff and is like ordering up at the dispensary. You can see the look on the guy's face as he's cracking his knuckles, the guy that's making the movie. And I think that he's like, he forgot to be like, oh, before we go in, let me like maybe give like Josh $50, or let me give him like $100, or like cap him on something before I just let him go in and just be like, order up. So because after they come out of there, it's like there's a kind of a notice, like there's kind of like a discernible kind of sea change in kind of like their interaction and relationship. They start pre-gaming prior to cooking. That's a problem. Will everything be negative or complaints moving forward? That's my note to myself. Nice ironic t-shirt collection, brah. I don't like the guy's brand new t-shirts. He's got like this like Newport t-shirt, the kind that like back in the day. Listen, fuckface. I don't know how fucking old you are. I'm 47 years old, shitbag, and they wore flannels in Seattle because it was cold. Okay. Metalheads used to wear work boots because we used to work, like occasionally would work day jobs and like, outside. And like we would go and buy shit at the Salvation Army and stuff. sometimes ironically, but oftentimes because people were like actually doing things like squatting and stuff. So like people would have like things like a Newport shirt, or like I remember like there were people that would do like the fashionista thing, like where it was like a joke, like in like mid 93, like 94, like this big fashion thing happened with like work shirts before trucker hats happened in like 2000 whatever. Work shirts was a big deal. Work shirts with people's name tags. You'd see like a chick at a Smashing Pumpkin show with like a work shirt with Fred. Like it was crazy. And then speaking of Smashing Pumpkins, I remember the highlight of it, and when I knew that the whole thing had gone crazy, was these work shirts were everywhere. Were these work shirts with people's names on them, whatever. People were like going crazy for them. They were like people were always in the thrift stores and always in the Salvation Army and always in the Goodwill looking for these work shirts. I was at a Smashing Pumpkins show. It had to have been 93 because I remember what college I was at. And it was at the I think it was, oh God, it had to have been, I think it was at Webster Hall, I think. I'm not sure. But it was on the Siamese Dream. No, it was on Gish. No, it was on Siamese Dream tour. And there was a guy who took it to the next level. He took it to the next level. He didn't just have the work shirt with the name tag. He showed up to the Smashing Pumpkins show with the full Orkin man, like the you know the bug people. He had the full Orkin jumpsuit with the name tag. Game over. He had the Orkin, and he was like full fashionista. He had the Orkin thing. It was like that burnt orange. He had like a matching woolly bully beanie with like that was red too, like the same burnt orange red, and he had like the fucking like silver glasses with the burnt orange inset like shades. Oh God, we were all like, "Fuck you!" But you know, but that's the kind of that's like I never wore one of those work shirts. You know why? I didn't work no place that had work shirts. But you're up here in that Newport shirt, bro. Like maybe you sent in like what the Marble, like whatever the Newport equivalent of Marble Miles is. But like what do you smoke Newports? And then he had this like Volkswagen Rabbit shirt. All his t-shirts look like fucking brand fucking new. I like the whole and he was like wearing mom jeans. Like these are fucking like I don't get it. I don't get who you are. I don't get what you're about. I don't get like your home environment. I don't get like why you got tattoos. I don't get like why the fuck like why you're lying to yourself about your interest in King Cobra JFS. Like it is what it is, but it's not your responsibility to be understood by me. And understand this. I hear myself and understand that anyone listening to me would say, you're making superficial criticisms of another person, and this makes no sense. And of course, it doesn't, because I resent the youth. But having said that, kids are stupid. The documentary was bad, and I blame the child. No time for an interview. Okay, one man. Oh, nice ironic T-shirt collection, bra. Seriously, I mean, honestly, like, you know what I mean? Come on, one man crew. Like, do you love the Volkswagen Rabbit? Like, fuck. Like, do you know what a Volkswagen Rabbit is? Like, what is your like? Are you really into Newport? Like, what the fuck? And like Newport, like, are you like really into smoking cigarettes? Like, no time for an interview. You were there talking to him. He goes at one point. He goes, "Oh, there was no time for an interview." Like he says it like on day 4. You were there talking to him for 4 days. At that point, when you're there talking to someone for 4 days, you've been doing interviews. You've been interviewing him. And if you've been there with him for 4 days and you've been failing to interview him, that's on you. And you have to accept the fact that you went on a film assignment unprepared. Because if you had gone to that film assignment prepared and you had been with this individual in Casper, Wyoming, for 5 days, committed to get something out of him. You would have if you were the man for the job. But you might not have been the man for the job. But being the man for the job doesn't necessarily mean that, you took your shot. You got out there, right? You did what you did. You took him to here, you took him to there. What were you doing with the guy? Were you not talking? And if you were talking, did you not understand that opportunities to talk were opportunities to build rapport and say things like, so tell me about your childhood and Cliff. And when you were talking to him, you just keep the camera going. They say the camera's going. It's cool we're talking? Cool. About Cliff or, Clint, and you just keep talking. And you would have gotten something. But you didn't. What we have is you documenting basically your itinerary for hanging out with King Cobra JFS. We know exactly the who, what, where, when, and how of what went down in the 5 or 6 days that you and your, Guy Friday, what was going on with you and King Cobra JFS during those days. You saw him, he hung out, you had this meal, whatever, this, that, and the other thing, and that's all we get. Day 5 interview day. And then I go, I remember the 90s fashion, well-to-do suburban kids dressing like truck stop workers, and the most working poor. Newport t-shirt, brand new mom jeans. Okay, sorry about that. Quality of the interview and questions, loss of other cast of characters, becoming a hermit. You know what I mean? He mentions Ozzy Osbourne. He goes, King Cobra JFS talks about Ozzy Osbourne. He says, I'm a fan of Ozzy Osbourne. Of course, I'm going to fuck with drugs and alcohol. Ozzy Osbourne is in recovery, fuckface. Hey, King Cobra JFS, Ozzy Osbourne is in recovery. So you keep on mentioning Ozzy Osbourne in relation to drugs and alcohol. You don't mention the fact that both him and Zakk Wylde are in recovery and 100% sober today. The story of Ozzy Osbourne starts with drugs and alcohol and ends in recovery. He is on the record as saying, though he's not long for this world, he plans on ending sober. And Suicide Solution, the song is not about alcohol being a solution to suicide because you drink so much you don't feel like killing yourself. It says the lyrics of the song are about alcohol being suicide. You're killing yourself with drugs and alcohol. Anyway, dressing goth, what does it mean to be goth? I don't know. I think this is me just pontificating upon, King Cobra JFS and the sadness of King Cobra JFS and the wonder of it all. King Cobra JFS is a very interesting person. Why hasn't this person exposed himself to more information and more data? He keeps on talking about, goth, but it does not seem that in the 10 years that he's been on the internet, despite the fact that people check him all the time on the difference between goth metal, and Cradle of Filth not really being goth and all those things, he has never even bothered to go to a forum. This guy's a guy who identifies himself as the world's biggest Cradle of Filth and the world's biggest Ozzy Osbourne fan, but to not know that Suicide Solution is not a pro-alcohol song indicates that this person has the Ozzy Osbourne biography, but hasn't read it. Identifies himself as the biggest Cradle of Filth fan, but doesn't go to the forum pages to look and to see what the community talks about goth metal. Goth is Cradle of Filth goth or not goth? Do some of the fans consider themselves goth or not goth? He could be involved in these conversations and he could have things to say about that. Plenty of people that are Cradle of Filth fans, that are goth metal fans, but not traditional goths, have things to say in defense of people attacking them and saying they're not really goth. But Josh has nothing to say. He talks about Goth being dressing all in black as he's sitting there not dressed all in black. But it is what it is. His life strategy. This is me just covering King Cobra JFS because he finally starts talking at the end. Life strategies. King Cobra's life strategies include getting signed and winning the lottery. We see the return of Darth Linney. We have a wonderful framing, which, allows, my favorite son to do another one of his, bullshit, pseudo documentarian, voiceovers where, he says, as we left King Cobra JFS, we felt as though we were leaving him there with a friend. They pull back and it's him and Darth Linney saying it was some stupid poetic bullshit to say about two people sitting there. It was just fucking, it's like, why are you wasting my time with last year's documentary film, leftover dialogue? Like, can we stop doing the same shit over and over again? Can we stop with the cliche video essay bullshit? You know what I mean? Can we stop with the Geno Samuel, even the Geno Samuel stuff? You know what I mean? Just don't worry about the intro. Don't worry about the framing. Don't worry about the end credit. Just fucking what happened when? Where are we? 2014? Okay. Just, give us the fucking timeline. Here are the highlight clips. Oh, meet the fucking, it's the spanking our gang arc or whatever it is. The lolcow question is activated by Geno Samuels. They're interviewing these two, guys at the end. I guess one of them knew King Cobra JFS at some point in their youth, and he asked the Geno Samuels questions from the famous Christina Western Chandler documentaries. Why do we watch? And again, these are pointless questions. Or people are not asking the right questions about themselves. If you think that if you think the primary questions about why you're watching these things are some grand mystery, they're not. You're watching car wrecks of humanity. And you're probably not watching them for the greatest aspects of you. You're probably not engaged in trying to make the world a better place when you're watching King Cobra JFS. And I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm trying to make the world a better place when I'm watching King Cobra JFS. But I'm not here bullshitting you and telling you that I'm involved in some sort of great sociological experiment to find out the question, what's at the center of our hearts? Or, what does it truly mean to love the despondent? Or telling you that I'm making a review for anything other than, making a review, or telling you that I'm making a documentary for anything else other than clicks. So make a fucking documentary for fucking clicks. It's going to get you fucking nowhere. Because it's very well the case that YouTube is going nowhere. And every day, there's more and more people out here making more and more stupid films about nothing. Go to Amazon Prime. Go to Netflix. Go to Hulu. Everyone's got digital videos and, video cameras and, okay looking friends and family. And a special effects budget of $25 and $1 in a dream and a contact at the orchard. And somewhere in America and somewhere in the world is someone with 90 minutes on their hands and a Delta 8 pre-roll, right? Ready to watch your brand new piece of garbage on YouTube or somewhere else. So go ahead and waste your time and waste their time and make another piece of garbage that no one fucking needs. And wait to get bored with the antics of King Cobra JFS. Because once upon a time, there was a homeboy Scotty. And once upon a time, there was Darth Linney, and there was other people coming in and out and there was the implication that something might happen. Same thing with DSP. Handily went out, okay, but here comes the new wifey. She goes on screen one time, well, and then she's gone, and then people are on like death watch, waiting for the final dent to clock out. That might be a very long wait. You know what I mean? But got time on our hands, I guess. So I put this video up, this rant up on my presumably RPG channel. The advice to keep channels separate, to have this channel be for this and this channel be for this and this channel be for this, was advice that came from essentially people that wanted to be, that were given advice on how to make it at YouTube and from YouTube itself. I don't think there's a making it on YouTube anymore. I think we've all been sold a bill of goods. I don't know what's going to happen next. Nobody does. And there have been 1,000 times where I thought the bottom was going to fall out or something else was going to happen or be some other cataclysmic great change. And I was incorrect and wrong. Like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to support me on Patreon, though I do nothing on Patreon other than tell people if you support me on Patreon, that means that you're supporting me on across all these things. Things don't appear behind a paywall for your benefit alone. They appear out here in various places for everybody. You're not just underwriting my production of stuff on YouTube, you're underwriting my life, my research into the great unknown. It's very important stuff. Trust me. We're breaking through here. I love you, kid. You know, I didn't love your documentary, and I was very harsh on you. Hopefully, you see this review, and hopefully you understand that you could do better. And the only thing you got to do is, if you did what you did this time, but didn't bullshit, whatever you do next, just don't bullshit, which is be honest about what you're doing and why, no matter what it is. If the next thing you're doing, you do just for views and clicks, be like, yo, I'm doing this shit for views and clicks. Right? And at least people would be like, yo, this guy's doing this shit for views and clicks, but at least he told us. I pulled a card from the 2003 Egyptian Tarot, 20 years ago. We tie ourselves to time. We worship time. Time matters. Time flows. The Queen of Wands. The masculine and the feminine energies juxtaposed. A woman, a queen, but holding the wand, a symbol of phallic, fiery, solar power. Opposites present within one. The thing that hurts could be the thing that cures us. The medicine may taste bitter, but the medicine may cure. The surgeon knife cuts with pain and trauma to the flesh, but along with that, the tumor is removed. The two energies acting in balance, there's greatness. So if my review is rough, let the roughness be like sandpaper. Be like spiritual sandpaper. Let it rub you clean. Let it make you stronger. Let it be of service to you, to teach you, to help you endure the slings and arrows of the bitter old fools who resent you, your youth, your vitality, and your views. Having said that, you might also be wise to listen to the old codger, because it might very well be the case that this old bitch has wise words to say. Like, you dress like an asshole. It's not that, I mean, like, I dress like an asshole, but I dress like an asshole, like, kind of like not on purpose, but I have a feeling like I have, like, I don't know, like, and your haircut, like, guys used to, like, I used to have a friend, like, back in the day. He had like 7 brothers, and his mom used to cut all their hair because he had like 7 brothers, and like they had no money because he had like that many brothers, right? So they couldn't even afford like supercuts, right? But like when I look at like your haircut, it's like the exact same haircut, but I have like this fucking feeling like you paid like fat money to like get that haircut, or like you have like an actual girlfriend who has like a beautician's license, who like studied how to get that poor white trash gal with 7 kids who can't cut haircut thing, and that's like fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, I just think like everything is stupid. You know what I mean? Like in Homeboy Robbie, like vaporwave like started in like 2013, and it's 2023, and 1983 was 40 years ago. Like, what the fuck are we all doing? Like, everything, like, like, should be like, everyone should be aware of the fact that the 80s are killing us. You know, we're just now kind of, people are trying to force themselves into the 90s, like the Transformers Beast Wars. Like, make no mistake about it, like the 25-year nostalgia loop, Beast Wars started in 1996. Transformers Beast Wars. And if you want to see how fly that animation was, it's on Tube. You can check it out and have fun. You'll say to yourself, like, holy crap, like, what the fuck? But it is what it is. Also, you have Pro Jared out here trying to tell you that he's going to go back, 30 years to the 90s for video games, but his thing is not really taking off. Why? Video games weren't that big in the 90s. They were just they were just, at that point, they were just there. They were just had become a thing. It wasn't a big new thing like they were in the 80s. Therefore, they don't hit. It is what it is. It is what it is. So I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm often depressing this way. So let me go like this. Let me just go. Oh, shoot. I got to go soon, but let me do this. Mario Heat, first in the live chat. Bless the Gary Gygax. There you go. The elephant in the room, second in the live chat. Jonaside, third in the live chat. So we have a first, second, third place winner. Mario Heat, that documentary has some factual errors. It is what it is. We know that King Cobra JFS has come back and done basically 2 reviews where he basically says he didn't like them calling him. I don't remember them calling him stupid. But then again, I guess I wasn't paying that much attention. And we say hello to Jet Petty too, the honorable mention. It is what it is. We say hello also to David Bucky. David Bucky, yes, some creators even pay terrible people who are lolcows like Shanny and Rev, so they keep making content for them to criticize when free handouts are the last thing they need. Hey, it is what it is. Real doesn't get you views. Need ring lights and green screens. I hear you, baby. I hear you. Look, you know what I mean? Here we go. Cyrax is at an all-time high. It feels like on my feet anyway. No, look, hey, listen. Hey, look, it pays if the guy's actually going to go crazy. David Bucky, the old days suck, and conservatives always have it in their head a simple time when problems didn't exist because we ignored them. Yeah, and also it's like good times for who? You know what I mean? Like, I wish we'd go back to the old days, and all the African Americans and Latinos are like, no, we don't. That's cool. We don't. There you go. Absolutely. Here we go. Genocide. Flannel shirts were layered because it rains all the time and it's cold here in the Pacific Northwest. Also, you wouldn't pay $50,000 for one at at the Dolce and Gabbana. Hey, kid, listen, I love you, I love you, I love you. If nobody told they loved you today, somebody just did that. Somebody CW chant I probably did for the third time. This time will actually stick. It'll actually be a goodbye. The documentary was what it was. Hey, you want my review? It's not an actual documentary. It's just them going and hanging out and having a road trip with King Cobra JFS. It wasn't that exciting. It is what it is. You'd be better off just watching King Cobra JFS because it's pretty much the same deal. The guy puts too much of himself in it, self-indulgent, self-aggrandizing. You get a whole bunch of him. He interrupts a whole bunch of stuff to this whole "Hey Dad" bullshit. The "Hey Dad" thing is fucking. I don't know. I don't think that fucking works. I would cut that shit out. I think that is some stuff that seemed artistically cool and amazing to you. All of these people, you art school, cinemaphiles, movie, film school jackasses, you are all going to be out of work in like a year, like whatever. Like, I hope YouTube goes away so that everyone can just realize what it means to actually like make a movie or make a like an album and have to try and like promote it in some sort of real way in the real world. The internet is a make-believe simulated environment that is not reality. And it has warped a generation. It's the way of all these people staring at it's sadness. It's the way of this King Cobra JFS is able to live this lifestyle because of this internet bullshit. If you see a documentary that's already been made, don't remake it. If you see a style of music that already exists, don't remake it. Don't redo it. Do something else. If you hear something come out of your speakers and you start saying to yourself, that sounds really good because it sounds exactly like what this other guy did, do something else. And yeah, it's going to be tougher. But hopefully we end up something new. Because FYI, in case you're curious, I'm sick and tired of fucking synth pop. And FYI, in case you're curious, all that stuff that people sounds exactly like the shit from Stranger Things. Stranger Things doesn't sound like the 80s. I lived in the 80s. The synth pop and the synth wave stuff and even the soundtrack stuff from the movies, none of it sounded like Stranger Things. That particular synthesizer sound on Stranger Things that everyone emulates and all since 2000 whatever, it doesn't sound like anything from the 80s. It only sounds like the 80s to people that weren't in the 80s because it sounds like the thing that you were told sounds like the fucking 80s. Synth Wizard 85 from 2013 YouTube synthwave masterpiece whatever mix is not from the fucking 80s. If you like music from the 80s, you should be listening to music from the 80s. Not people who like music from the 80s who want to make music that sounds like it's from the 80s. Why do you want to make music that sounds like it's from the 80s? If you like music that sounds like it's from the 80s, why don't you just listen to music from the 80s? It's already been made. It's from the 80s. If you like that sound so much, do something new with it. And the reason that you don't do something new with it, you're not fucking that talented. You suck. How about this? Why don't people realize if you can't do something new, why not just be in a cover band? Why not just not waste people's fucking time? That's a fucking option. Just because the world is offering you participation rewards for having a fucking fat ass or big tits or like looking good or handsome doesn't mean you have to go for it. You cannot waste people's times with bullshit. You cannot waste your time wasting people's time. That is an option. Chant every day, read a spiritual text every day, live a real life. Don't listen to bullshit music that's not from the 80s that wants to be from the 80s. And if your only option is to make shit that sounds like something from before, it's because you're not that fucking creative. Sell your fucking keyboard. You're not a musician. You're just an asshole that likes to smoke weed and doesn't want to get a fucking job. No one wants to get a job. Your grandfather didn't want to get a job. Your great-grandfather didn't want to get a job. No one wants to fucking work. It sucks. Go do it. Because I love you, son.